Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who, before he gets to his little thesis here on Barbie Pop and how Olivia Rodrigo and her new album Guts exemplifies this sort of idea I got bouncing around in my head, I need to say unequivocally that I love Olivia Rodrigo. I think she is the master, truly the master of pop dynamics, both within songs and within albums. Nobody does quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, quiet like she does. Okay? I think she's a super lyricist, a more than capable singer, and she's paired up with Daniel Nigro. I still don't know how to pronounce his name, but that's the only way I feel comfortable pronouncing his name. And I think he is a super producer who just is not acknowledged as such. Okay, I love the album Sour. One of the saddest moments of the last couple of years. I was at the Record Archive in Rochester, New York, my happy place, and I was there with my daughter. And I have a thing with my kids where every time we go to a record store, I will always buy them one record. Right? That's just what I do. And I knew that she liked Olivia Rodrigo, and I'm like, here you go. You want it? And at that point, even though she liked it, she felt ashamed. She felt that it was too poppy, that it wasn't cool enough, and she said no. So I had this kind of sad moment of like, she now regrets it, by the way. We're probably going to buy it later this week. I have all these happy memories of when that album came out. I was with my brother and his kids, and I was with me and my kids, and we'd just gone to Newport trying to stalk Taylor Swift. We never found her. We were on vacation, and then we were like driving back, and there was this weird abandoned casino, and we were listening to, was it Brutal? Or, oh no, it was Good For You. We were listening to Good For You on the Top 40 radio and just screaming it out loud out the window with the windows down. And it was just so beautiful and fun. We went back home and I played it on guitar. You know, it's like, I love Olivia Rodrigo. I have all these positive memories of it. And so that's where I'm going to start before I start off with my kind of attempt at a theory here. But let's talk about Barbie. Right? Barbie surprised us. I'm talking about the movie. When I say Barbie, I do not mean the toy. I mean the movie. The phenomena, Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, Kristen Wiig, Noah Baumbach, right? That's what I'm talking about. The phenomena surprised me a little bit, but it didn't surprise me in the way that I didn't see it coming. I'm just surprised that it worked so well. And what I'm now realizing is the path was laid. Like there was already a path for Barbie to be so popular and so wildly successful because pop music has become Barbie. Everything that made Barbie powerful and successful and agreeable and huge already existed, was already being done, primarily by Taylor Swift, but also by Olivia Rodrigo, also by Ariana Grande, also by a whole host, Lord, whatever, Carly Rae Jepsen, what like there. If we think about, if we break down the elements of what made Barbie so successful and important, that's where we are with a lot of female-led pop music. Let's compare. I'm just taking this album, Guts, by Olivia Rodrigo, although I could apply it to like 50 other albums while I'm here, with Barbie. Largely female created. Significant male collaboration. That male collaboration never overshadows the female creation. The male collaboration never overshadows the female creation. Glamorous and totally adhering to the modern standards of European beauty. Glamorous and totally adhering to standards of... I'm not going to do both. I'm just going to say them once now. my fingers are purple because I made blueberry pancakes this morning. Okay? So glamorous and adhering to standards of beauty, but at the same time doing two things. Criticizing them, providing reasonable critiques against this terrible beauty standard that brings women down, while also, let's be realistic, lampshading them. That is to say, pointing something out as a way to do it while pretending to be criticizing it while actually participating in it. So if you look at Olivia Rodrigo's pictures online, she's always dressed up with a lot of makeup and looks super pretty, and the same kind of idea with Barbie, right? So it's sort of trying to have its cake and eat it too, which arguably is all you can do under patriarchy and capitalism. I'll get to that in a second. We have this sort of like heavy feminine coding to both the pop music, what I call Barbie pop music, and Barbie the movie, where it's very intentionally hyper feminine. In Barbie's case, it's pink, and Olivia Rodrigo is coded as purple, but still these are usually coded colors for femininity. Well, not usually, since like the 20th century. It used to be that pink was a boy's color, but go watch a different video about that. At the same time, there's this essential element, and I was trying to find the right word to define what do I mean girly but with blank. Understanding that the term girly itself is highly problematic, okay? I do not agree that there is such a thing as girly inherently, but societally, there is something that is considered to be girly, and that's what I'm talking about here, okay? It's girly with an edge. And this is where, once you just use that term edge, that's where things get more interesting. That's where you can incorporate Billie Eilish and Melanie Martinez into this crew as well. Because sometimes that edge is goth, sometimes that edge is intellectual, sometimes that edge is sort of girl boss. There's always something, an added element that makes it more than just girly. And that's what makes it all of the things I'm discussing, feminist. But it makes it feminist in an interesting way. There was a time where it seems as though everything that was feminist had to be explicitly empowering. Most of the things that I'm talking about now are implicitly empowering, okay? What I mean by that is they're not saying, you're a girl and you can do it. They're saying more, I am strong and I can do it. And then, hopefully, the girls and women who hear it can associate with that. It makes it more subtle. It makes it more agreeable. And I think it makes it more sophisticated because we're sort of onto the next stage of this growth. These things have a complicated relationship with patriarchy. This is where I should acknowledge the fact that I'm a 45-year-old cis-het white dude who is discussing all of these issues of feminism and women and girls. I understand I have no lived experience. Zero lived experience which informs this at all, okay? I am a cultural commentator, a music critic, okay? This is a hobby I picked up in the lobby. So if you disagree with what I say and you know more than I do, please tell me in the comments. I don't get defensive, not even when they tear me apart over on Reddit. I'm okay, all right? So feel free to criticize me. I understand I'm a visitor in this world, okay? This is not my world. But hey, I am a part of the patriarchy, so I can talk about that a little bit. There's this very complicated relationship between Barbie Pop. By that, again, I'm talking about these kinds of artists like Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo that are against the patriarchy, but they're primarily against the patriarchy, like the Barbie movie, by exposing it, by making it visible, something that was invisible to people, what people thought was normal, and realizing it's not normal, but a system of power that is used for the benefit of one group to the detriment of another. Okay? So that's what Barbie the movie was able to do. All of its shortcomings, blah, 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 shut up. It has mainstreamed the concept of the existence of patriarchy better than forced women and gender studies classes in elementary school. Okay? It just happened to do that. It happened to be the perfect kind of poison pill where the poison was enlightenment. Okay? I guess that sounds weird. That sounded funny and cool in my head, but it actually is. It's not good. Enlightenment is not poison. Enlightenment is freedom. Okay. So we have that, but then there's the other element where they're co-opted by the patriarchy. Barbie is part of the patriarchy. It could never go fully there. It still had to make the CEOs look cool. It still had to serve Mattel. It's still fundamentally used to serve something that subjugates women. The way it lampshades questions of beauty expectations, it also lampshades resistance to patriarchy because fundamentally the patriarchy and capitalism are always linked. And it's capitalism which is always going to undercut any revolutionary aspect of the movie or the music. Because the movie's amazing, because it made $1 billion, but it made $1 billion because that's what it was supposed to do. And it's great that we have all this energy behind these Barbie pop stars who have way more agency, way more to say, way more respect than those of previous generations. You think people took Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera seriously as human beings and thinkers? Absolutely not. I was alive during that time. They were punchlines from the second they were superstars, okay? We're past that. We've moved past it, and that's great, but we're always going to be hamstrung by this connection to capital. So that's my theory, that Olivia Rodrigo exhibits all of this kind of complex relationship between feminism and being a pop star that's a woman. All of these things that we get out of the Barbie movie, I think we get out of this album, Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. Also, she's just a very good example of a standard 2020s pop star. She's sort of a exemplar, you know, a typical model. You know, she's young. She's 20 years old, and she's young and this good because she is a child star. She was in High School Musical, the series, the musical, the series, the High School Musical, the series, right? So she knows how to dance. She knows how to sing. She's one of these interesting entertainment robots, which when it was Justin Timberlake, everyone was like, wow, it's so impressive that he learned so much at an early age. And when it was Britney Spears, it was like, yeah, she's just trash garbage who grew up in a trailer park. Anyways, fortunately, we're moving past that, and we are giving the same amount of respect and awe, and frankly, I believe, we'll get to this soon, pity for people who end up being the breadwinner for their family when they're 10 years old. Like many other pop stars of her age, she's kind of breaking on TikTok. She's fighting the patriarchy while being a part of it. She has a very curated image, but there's always with this layer of, in her case, kind of grime. You know, like, I think she creates permission structures for girls who go to Hot Topic to like her pop music, right? And I'm saying girls who go to Hot Topic not as a pejorative term. I'm saying that there's very few lanes available to young girls, okay, as to what kind of person they get to be in society. Hot Topic provides an essential and important and not to be mocked second lane away from what is perceived of as girly as to what is perceived of as goth or emo. It's an important step for a lot of people, and I think she has, much like Melanie Martinez and Billie Eilish, she manages to just throw a little bit of grime, like Guts. What kind of album title is that? Guts. And she swears a little bit. She's very PG-13. She swears just enough times not to get the sticker, right? So it manages to be pop enough that it's okay for the cheerleaders and grimy enough that it's okay for the goths, which you could see as a callous, calculated attempt to get all that monies, or you could be like me and just say that she is trying to reach a broader audience because we should not be pigeonholing people in the first place, especially not young women in the place where they are. Because her music is, like many people of her age and her style, for young women by young women. Not for 45-year-old dudes, but I don't care. Hey, you don't want me to like your music? Don't make it so catchy. Don't make it so well produced. Don't make it like so smart without trying to be so smart. Don't be so savvy of your brand without seeming savvy of your brand, you know? And her lyrics, they're smart, they're true, vaguely feminist. Everything is pop, but it's not overly pop, if that makes sense. And a lot of that is due to the amazing production by Dan Nigro, who has produced everything she's ever done. This guy deserves Jack Antonoff levels of appreciation. Well, maybe not. Jack Antonoff Jr. levels of appreciation. He's not quite there yet. He doesn't quite have the breadth. But he knows how to produce for her so well. The instrumentation is right on. The mixture of indie and pop punk is on. There's often little tiny details that are perfect in the song and how it's produced. And just as a side note, you know, he also produces Conan Gray. And I realized this morning while eating the pancakes that I made, look at that, huh? Frozen blueberries. They'll mess up your hands every time. While I was eating pancakes with my daughter, who's a bigger Conan Gray fan than Olivia Rodrigo fan, Conan Gray is a Ken doll. Right now, I'm hoping that you're following along with my reasoning enough to be like, oh, snap, that makes total sense. And I'm not even going to expand on it now. I'm going to wait till Conan Gray releases another album because his stuff is great. Conan Gray is the Ken doll. In general, this album, I'm going to get into the album now, 13 minutes in. Hey, you clicked on this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. You might get cut off halfway because I'm waiting for AAA come to restart my car, but we'll see. So there may be an edit. I don't like to do edits. Might be necessary. What the? I have a guitar stand behind my thing. There's two themes of this album. One, life is unfair for girls and young women. Great. We need more of that. There's a lot of that out there, but we need more. Much like we need... Anyways, it's good. And then the other theme is breaking up with a toxic ex, who's a gaslighting jerk. This is like a very favorite theme. I think we have to credit Taylor Swift for this. I think because she's so good at writing songs about dating gaslighting jerks, and those are the two themes. So let's start right off. Let's have the stamp of the album, the example song of the album. It's such a great album. There's only one track I think is skippable on here, so we'll just start with the first track, All American B-Word. I don't like to swear on this channel too much, so click above the banana, above the complete works of Joan Didion. We're going to start off with the simple acoustic guitar, pop punk. It's a great setup. Again, these are the dynamics. Speaking of dynamics, you might hear my baby crying upstairs. It's okay. Quality, very quality vocals, like her phrasing, and it seems like she's just going to whisper, and then she goes up to the super high range, and then she's singing totally in the ironic register. Okay, so she's saying something and saying the opposite at the same time. So she's saying that she's perfect, and she's all these things that she has to be when she's really the opposite. I'm grateful all the time, grateful all the effing time. I'm sexy and I'm kind, I'm pretty when I cry. A lot of this reminds me, this and the final song on the album, at least the final song of the album that I'm reviewing, are very paired. So, remember that amazing speech by America Ferrera in the Barbie movie where she just describes all the contradictions that women are expected to hold at once, all the contradictory things they are supposed to be and communicate simultaneously at the same time, and a lot of critics are like, that's a little on the nose. Hey, beat it. That's what any critic who's like, that's a little on the nose, beat it. when those kinds of themes are tired, we will know. Those themes are not tired. We need to hear those themes more. That speech, that doesn't win an Oscar for screenwriting, then there's something wrong. It was on the nose because it had to be. And this is too, right? It's on the nose because it has to be. She's describing all the things that she's expected to do, like being sexy and kind, being pretty when she cries, and through the ironic register, saying the opposite of what she thinks, she is communicating to us the impossibility of doing this. And it's just great. The production here, electric guitar comes in. It's like a standard pop punk chorus, but then the first time she doesn't say the B word, and then you complete it, all American, and then you're just saying, it's great. It's stopping right before the punchline. The second verse, it seems like the production is actually ironic, with mandolin, and there's a warmth to it. And it seems like it's trying to be ironic, right? And then in the outro, she harmonizes with herself, all those lyrics I just read. So, excuse me, I generally don't edit, so you're going to hear me clear my throat. It's all good. Also got one of my dogs over there on the couch, Toby. He likes listening to my videos. I don't know why. So in Interview magazine, the magazine started by Andy Warhol with the idea of having famous people interviewing famous people. Thank you, Andy. Phoebe Bridgers interviews Olivia Rodrigo. I'm going to have to track down this magazine. And in it, she describes how she was inspired by Joan Didion. Not by Slouching Towards Bethlehem, but by the book that followed right after it, a book called The White Album. White Album was reading this bit about her going to San Francisco to meet all these hippies. 5-year-olds are dropping acid and going to Dead concerts. She was talking to some hippie who ran away from home and called his mom an all-American B-word. And I was like, that's the effing coolest phrase I've ever heard, so I had to write a song about it. This is going to go into the last track, where I read this and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that this 20-year-old pop star was reading Joan Didion. I would have believed that 19-year-old, 20-year-old Phoebe Bridgers did, because she presents herself as sort of more alternative, more all this, more all that. But I didn't believe that Barbie is reading Joan Didion. And this is part of the problem, okay? This is part of the problem. Even though I immediately corrected myself. I immediately understood that I had ageist, but primarily gendered thoughts of who Olivia Rodrigo was and who she could be, that my initial reaction was to call BS. And the fact that that was my initial reaction goes to show that deep down inside myself, no matter how hard I fight, I am still a misogynist, patriarchal pig. Okay? You might be too. You might be a woman who read that and thought that. And you might be a misogynist, patriarchal pig. Okay? We can all be misogynist, patriarchal pigs. We can be. The important thing is to then recognize that and then go, of course she could do that. I don't know how smart Olivia Rodrigo is. I don't know what her life is like. I don't know what she does in her free time. I have no idea, I know what I think she does. I know all the stereotypes I have in my head of what a 19-year-old conventionally pretty pop star would do, but I don't know. So it turns out she, like me, is a Didion fan. I actually bought these books because Andrew Bird talked a lot about Joan Didion. I'm happy that Joan Didion is in the news and is up front. May she have a bigger cultural moment. Thanks to Olivia Rodrigo. Then we cut into Bad Idea, right? Which is that second mode, the sort of toxic ex. Her problem is she has a sexy ex. I did write a song in my youth called Banging Out the Ex. It's not a good song, and I never actually did it, but I wrote a song about it instead of doing it. So there you go. Cool kind of heavy metal guitar in the pre-chorus, great pre-chorus. Very of the moment, like phrasing and lyricism. I should probably not, but super catchy, super fun. That's a bad idea, right? It's all right. It's totally of the moment. Like when you listen to this song in 20 years, it'll be like listening to like Feeling Groovy, you know? Like you'll hear it and just go, oh my God, this is so 2020. But still, I like it. I love the idea that she's lying to herself and she tells you all the lies. You know, both these first couple songs, she's saying what she doesn't believe, you know? So the first song, she's saying that she's pretty and she's kind and she's all these things. And here she's saying, I only see him as a friend, biggest lie I ever said. Can't two people reconnect? It's great. It's great that she's illustrating how people lie to themselves. There's like a killer American Woman style guitar solo. I hate the song American Woman, except when it's sung by Jim Carrey in Cable Guy. So American Woman as a song, you know, by the Guess Who? Is that right? Yeah, I think it's by the Guess Who. You know, the top is Jim Carrey's version, and then there's the original version, and then there's Lenny Kravitz's version. I just don't like the song, but the guitar solo is great, and this guitar solo feels like it is imitating that. And what I like about this too is that this song and many of these other songs, there's a simplicity and a brutality, and that's the importance of punk music. Part of the importance of punk music is that any kid who picks up a guitar and practices for like 6 months can play it, okay? If my daughter felt like it, she at 16, 15 years old could play this song on guitar just knowing 3 chords and just rock it out, you know? Girls and young women need that kind of energy because they've been deprived that because most music made for girls and young women is just sort of super duper overproduced, technically proficient pop mess, whereas this is very much just right there. So I keep getting texts on my phone from AAA, which is making me anxious because if I have to edit the videos, if I have to even just edit together 2 things, it takes like an hour to upload, but we'll see what happens. Next song is called Vampire, the big single. This, you know, it seems like it's trying to feel like Driver's License. Driver's License was how she broke in. Driver's License is still her best song, and Driver's License frickin' rules. So I don't mind that she's trying to imitate it. Again, that's what showed her ability to have such great dynamics. Sad, thoughtful piano to open. Level of perception here, I should have known, like she's mad at herself. Okay, I get it that this song is about a man, and it's about a gaslighting, terrible man who takes advantage of her. But this song is not about a man. Come on, Olivia. This song's about the industry. This is a perfect song about the industry. Use me for parts, take me all up. It feels to me like you could just, if she just said that, then anyways, I'm sure it's about both. And here, my only problem with this song is that the level of production is sort of like maybe 10% more. It's a little bit, there's like the post-chorus has this great build-up and there's these cool, weird electronic sounds. Nigro seems like he's doing a lot of really interesting things here. The level of production and polish on this song is so high that it sort of sticks out and makes you either wish that it was a little bit lower or that the rest of the album was a little bit higher. That's a weird criticism, but it is a legitimate criticism. Okay. I have to edit my video. So I'm going to go deal with AAA. I have to get my car restarted. If this break doesn't bother you, let me know. Hey, smash the like button. Hey, I'm back. Car's all set. It's running outside. I'm going to do a couple laps around the block when I'm done with this video. There you go. Peek behind the curtain. Also, I'm in between songs here. This actually worked out pretty well. If you don't know, I have a secret code on my videos where if you type in AVAA, awesome video as always, I will always give that comment a heart. So you can even hide it in your comment and I'll see it. I really enjoy reading comments. I like it when you subscribe, all that. The algorithm's a little bit mad at me. I went on vacation last month. So let's get the views up, you know, and engage with me. I don't do sponsorships, so I don't think you should use a VPN, and don't trust any company that tells you it's using your money to do something good. They're not, okay? Don't buy it. Don't buy it. They're taking your money. They're doing tax write-offs. They're screwing you over. Okay, so let's get to the third track, Lacey. Acoustic guitar, very kind of small whispering voice. I thought, hey, is this a love song about Steve Lacy? That'd be cool. You know, I reviewed his album last year, but it turns out no. It's a song about a woman who's sort of like, basically Lacey is being used as a sort of actual metonym. So it's like a metonym is where a part of something replaces the whole, right? So it's like, it's representing an object that a kind of woman would wear, I assume something lacy, like lacy underwear, and that is representing the woman itself, right? So someone is lacy underwear, right? Like if you like I am not lacy underwear. That is not a description you'd use, like maybe V-neck t-shirt or whatever, right? Like, so there's different ways of using metonyms, and this is implying a certain level of intimacy, of beauty, of finery. Just saying lacy, it's a very effective and quick shorthand that she's using. But at the same time, the song's interesting because she's talking about like not doing well. There's a nice voice in the chorus, gorgeous doubling of the voice all over the place on the second verse. And then there's a big bridge, which is announced by, you're made of angel dust, which is like weird because angel dust is a drug that makes you psychotic. In the final verse, she just sings it with so much intimacy. It almost reminds me of like a British folk song, Lacy, oh Lacy, it's like you're out to get me. You poison everything I do. Lacy, oh Lacy, I loved you lately. Why did I sing in an Irish accent? I can't do accents, okay? You're lucky I didn't do an Australian accent. Despite my jealous eyes and how they fell for you. Okay, now that... I was just singing 500 miles. But I love this idea of her being sort of attracted to a woman who she's jealous of for her beauty, but also who she wants sexually. This is an interesting theme, which it pops up. It's not infrequent in any kind of gay male songs, sort of like wanting to look like someone while also wanting to be with them. We have a little bit of that here, and it's great. It's a great cultural moment where this attitude towards different sexualities is casual. This had Britney Spears written a love song to a woman on Baby One More Time or Oops, I Did It Again, it would have been like a huge cultural discourse. This is just like, yeah, there you go. And then she just writes such great lyrics. I despise my rotten mind and how much it worships you. Really, it's great because when you're 20 years old, 19 years old, when you're as smart as she very clearly is, you kind of like get into like little wars with yourself, and you're constantly at war with like what you think you should do and what you want to do and what you're lusting to do and what your parents think you should do and what society, like you're always kind of at that. And so she's really very, 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 very capable at explaining that kind of tension. Sort of in a way, I think of Willie Nelson's early work as a great lyricist of just being the master of describing the conflict between the mind and the heart, the gut, the mouth, like everything. He's able to divide everything here. And so it's like her gut despises how much her mind worships her. It's great. Another important theme, which, how does this not exist before? Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl. Full 3-chord power, sloppy drums, bass lead, some feedback on guitar. I understand if you are a punk purist, you're like, that's not real punk, this is just mainstream trash. Yeah, all right, shut up. It's great. Okay, shut up. Just gotta move on, right? Like, this is doing a lot of things that punk does. Yes, it's overly clean. Yes, blah, 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 but it's great. And this is important to the story. It's all about her feeling awkward because she was homeschooled. But then actually it's about how that awkwardness is just natural and everybody feels it. It's just so catchy. It's a social suicide. And just the difficulty of knowing how to socialize and constantly regretting what you say. And I can say as someone who is not homeschooled, when I was 19 or 20, I was constantly afraid that I was saying the wrong thing and then I said the wrong thing. Actually, I'm afraid I say the wrong thing on this channel all the time because I just speak from the hip. And sometimes I say ridiculous things that could be taken wrong, or that I just say them wrong and then I go, wait, did I actually say that? This kind of insecurity and uncertainty when you put yourself out there is something that's very well described. As you may or may not know, I look, when I record a video, at a full wall of Smith's album covers. And I think these lyrics really do fit in that kind of awkward approachability. I'm on the outside of the greatest inside joke, and I hate all my clothes. Feels like my skin doesn't fit right in my bones, so I guess I should go. The party's done, and I'm no fun. There's no songs about homeschooled people, and it's weird because so many famous people, especially child stars, are homeschooled. And I just want to take 1 second to talk about the interesting aspect of homeschool. Homeschool. What's up, homeschool? Of homeschoolers. Homeschooled people, right? So she says, I've always been homeschooled because I've been working. And that's where I got depressed, where it's like, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks to be Olivia Rodrigo. I'm sorry, it does. It's better to have a normal childhood. It's better not to be famous. It's better not to be under the public eye. It is better not to be Britney Spears. It is better not to be Justin Timberlake. It is better not to be any of these people. If you had a normal, caring upbringing, you won the lottery. don't dream of fame. Dream of being able to reproduce that kind of happiness for other people in your life. Anyways, but it's just funny because like when you're an adult and you're in the world, you meet a lot of people who homeschool their kids, and it's like it's like different kinds of red flags, you know? Because fundamentally what homeschooling represents is the certainty and the belief that society is failing children, right? That you cannot have... I'm sorry, I use the dog's dog bed to cover up the heating vent because it makes too much noise. I forgot to do that. There we go. That's better. Usually, with the exception of children who are forced into labor, as she was, and she was forced into labor, okay, you can't actually have consent until you're an adult, so why do we even have child stars at all? That should be illegal. Our society is failing as humanity. Moving on. Usually it indicates a strong belief that society has failed, that you can't trust the government and you can't trust the government schools. So you have sort of two groups of people on either extreme edge of the Overton window who do not homeschool, for the most part. I'm exaggerating. There's plenty of people who are totally just, they choose to do it in a different way, but it usually ends up being either people who are like, they're teaching CRT, or it's like, they're not cognizant enough of the CIA's complicity and whatever, right? Like it ends up being that kind of way. So it does always make me feel for people who are homeschooled, even though I've had friends who are homeschooled and they say it was fine. But it's neat to have that in the dialogue. And I also have like friends who homeschool and like their kids are great. So I'm not saying that it's inherently bad. I'm saying that it is a signifier which indicates that the parents do not believe in society. Okay? It doesn't mean that they do, but that's what it generally indicates. Okay? In aggregate, I would say that is the expression. And so the song, the Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl, is what is the consequences of growing up and your social interactions when your family does not believe in society. I should say I was raised by people who didn't really believe in society either, but they were probably too lazy and too disinterested to homeschool me. So I just went off to school and was a weirdo, which is fine. Is that cool? Did I offend you? I'm sure some people who are watching this are homeschooled or plan to homeschool. I am painting with a broad brush, but I've hopefully nuanced myself enough, okay? That is generally what's communicated, but not always. Good. I think I'm okay. Did I just pull an Olivia Rodrigo and say something I'm going to regret? Oh God, what did I say? Next song is called Making the Bed. It's got almost like a Walk on the Wild Side Lou Reed bass line, echoing synths. And this is a great song. It's an ode to Jordan Peterson's 8 Rules for Living. No, I'm joking. I thought it was going to be about adulting, like how hard it is to make the bed in the morning, but it's not. It's more interesting than that. She does a lot of great double entendres or like sentences that have multiple meanings. This is about making your bed and lying in it. And it's about how she's not a victim all the time. Sometimes she's a victimizer. And this is, again, going back to the Taylor Swift playbook. And please understand, when I compare artists to Taylor Swift, that is not putting down those artists. You can't listen to rock music in the 60s and not compare every single group to the Beatles. You just can't do it, okay? And that's not an insult to them. It's just the Beatles are such a huge impact on everything that came after it, that everything inevitably refers back to it. All pop music has to be in dialogue with Taylor Swift because it is so influential and important and all that, okay? So that's why I compare it. And the ability to talk about how you were terrible, you treated me bad, and I knew you were bad, and I might get back together with you, and I did get back together with you, but oops, I broke up with you again. But actually, I'm the bad guy. I do all the bad stuff, and I'm horrible, and I'm toxic, and I'm the problem. Hi, it's me. But actually, it's you. Like, going back and forth between those things, that's sort of a staple of sort of modern pop, and I think it's good. You know, it's better not to always be a victim, sometimes be a victimizer. And it cuts in at the end. There's this epic, very simple bridge that gets cut short by feedback and goes back to voice and piano. Once again, Olivia Rodrigo, better than anyone else that I can think of. Tell me in the comments who in pop music is better at dynamics than Olivia Rodrigo. What, Weezer? Maybe. Next track is called Logical. It's a love song about Mr. Spock. So piano. What's cool is that the piano from the last track kind of continues, and she sings in this kind of like sassy whisper. It gets better at the end. And what I like, there's a couple things I like about this. I love the lyric, "I fell for you like water." Simple. You know, like if you watch this channel, you know my favorite kind of lyrics are simple lyrics where you go, how has that not already been said? "I fell for you like water" is great. And ultimately logical. It's not about Mr. Spock. It's a gaslighting anthem. And it's about 2 + 2 = 5. Which, by the way, is the name of a great Radiohead song off of the album Hail to the Thief, which I think is probably their third best album. It's a really good album, very underrated. And it's talking about how love is illogical. But what I love about this is it's questioning this. If we all accept that love is not logical, then how are we surprised that people's sense of reality is so easily questioned by love? Like, how do we sort of expect to not be gaslit when love itself is built on a foundation of not being based on logic? It makes it that love and interpersonal relationships between men and women, women and women, men and men, right? Non-binaries and men, non-binaries and women, non-binaries and non-binaries. Like, it makes it that, like, it's all it can't help but be prone to these kinds of toxic behaviors because it's not logical. It's cool, right? Oh, can she possibly be saying that? She's just a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. Yeah, absolutely she can be. She means Joan Didion. The bridge is like just this voice and these growling synths and just, it's great. Next track is called Get Him Back. It counts in, and then the drummer's like, wait, is this a song with drums? This is forced idiosyncrasy, but I'm here for it. I like it. It's almost like a heavy, or like Beastie Boys imitation, like Beastie Boys in the 90s imitation. And what I like about it is it's about an F-boy, you know? But it's also about another one of these toxic guys. And I love this double meaning. Like, I want to get him back. So two things. She wants to get back together with him. I assume this is the same ex as in Bad Idea, right? Who knows? Theoretically it is. Symbolically it is. But also, I want to get him back in terms of revenge, right? It's like, it's very, very easy to create some kind of, like she plays a lot with these different meanings of the same expression to get him back. And she's simultaneously talking about both at the exact same time. She wants to get him back because she wants to be back together with him, and she wants to get back with him for the express purpose of revenge, but of course she doesn't. Maybe the most truth on the entire album pops out when she says the line, "I am my father's daughter, so maybe I can fix him." That's like, that one line, like, to me, if I were just like hanging around with a bunch of people and someone said that line, someone revealed something so true about themselves, I would understand them so much better. That would tell me so much. That would tell me about what their mother was like, what their father was like, what their homeworld was like. Now, I might be wrong. I might be making terrible assumptions. And don't, you know, when you assume, you make an ass out of me and you and Uma Thurman. Like I get that, you know, but like, it's a great line. I want to meet his mom and tell her that he sucks. That is the kind of simple, like, it's fun because she's so smart and she's so evolved and so mature, blah, 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 blah. But then also she can just be kind of petty and goofy. And she plays with that line very well. And that's what her youth can provide her that it can't provide for other people. I mean, Taylor Swift still does that, but like, she's in her 30s. So like, she can't really, I'm not saying bad about her. Don't get mad at me, Taylor stans. She can't really act like she's 20 years old, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I know that she's not 22. Right? Whereas, yeah. Love is embarrassing. It's fine. This is the filler song. It's a good chorus. I like the synths. But, nope. Tell me in the comments why I'm wrong, and that's the best song on the album. Happens every time I skip a song. Next track is called The Grudge. It's about the Japanese horror movie. I'm joking, it's not. Piano in sadness mode. You crushed everything, the damage you did. But I love this idea of love as being like a grudge. Again, she's playing around with like positive and negative having the same meaning. Like, the undying love I hold for you like a grudge. Like, a grudge is a negative bad thing, but love is a positive thing. This one line, like, she has all these lines. It takes strength to forgive, but I don't feel that strong. Like, God damn it, that's a great lyric, you know? And like how she's tough when she's alone and she knows what she wants to say, but then when she actually talks to him, she doesn't know what to say. This feels, I wrote in my notes, cry, I want to cry. Like, I want to cry. Like, I'm not in this place right now. I'm in a very happy relationship, and I have been for almost 6 years now. So I don't feel this way, but I have felt this way, you know? And just like the pain, the way that she describes this pain and like the confidence she feels when she's away, but then how weak she feels and how she wants to hold on to this feeling. It's just very human. It's very human and it's very well said. Pretty isn't pretty, full 80s soft guitar. At times it sounds like the Cure. And this right here is going back again. Here we are in full Barbie territory. It's very relatable. You know, this chorus about changing your body and your face, and pretty isn't pretty, you know? It isn't. Like, what does pretty mean? What are the expectations on girls and women? Let's just take the opening lyrics. Bought a bunch of makeup trying to cover my face. I started to skip lunch. Stopped eating cake on birthdays. If you're a parent, and you are a parent of a boy, and you are a parent of a girl, you will see that, in general, the birthday cake gets eaten less at girls' parties than at boys' parties. I'm not kidding you. Right around 10th, 11th birthday, 5th, 6th birthday, girls, boys, cake, face, everywhere, running all over the place. But then at a certain point, you start seeing more of like the little plate with one bite taken out for politeness and the fork on there. And I have witnessed this. And it makes me want to cry. Because first of all, just the unfairness of it, but that this seeps in to the mentality so early. And this is her describing it. And I don't care if there's more songs about how harmful and dangerous beauty standards are for girls and young women. There need to be more songs about it, okay? There just needs to be more. There needs to be more movies about it. Oh, is Barbie on the nose? Beat it, okay? Just beat it. We need more things on the nose. These things need to be discussed. There's always something missing. Something in the mirror I think looks wrong. You know, she's talking about dysmorphia, which interestingly enough was actually talked about in the last album I reviewed as well, which is kind of neat, by Puma Blue. It's not just for girls, it's also for boys. But it's just this beautiful song, and I really think that it's in that America Ferrera monologue in Barbie mode, where she's communicating things clearly, she's using good examples, she's drawing light to something that everybody sort of knows and sort of knows is wrong, but the fact that there are literally millions of young girls who stop eating birthday cake at their friends' birthday parties, at their own birthday parties, who start skipping meals, like, again, it goes back to this whole thing, like, we're failing. Okay? As a society, we are failing. It doesn't mean we're probably still like the best society in the history of civilization, so good for us, but we're still failing. We're still failing our young women and girls, and the way we get better is by listening to people who tell us what they're going through. So, but again, she's singing all this while being thin and attractive and making videos in tank tops. So it's, you know, it's like Margot Robbie, that, you know, the line that everyone laughed at the most in Barbie, every screening without fail, was it Judi Dench saying, you know, having Margot Robbie making a point about not being beautiful was a bad idea on the part of the director. That's lampshading the problem, because it's very funny, because everybody wants to look at Margot Robbie. I'm not being a creep. Everyone wants to look at Ryan Gosling too, right? We're just drawn to that level of beauty, that level of physical perfection, and hey, we're laughing at it. But also, you know, they didn't cast me as Ken. You don't want to see me running around on a beach, right? So, the album ends. I think there's a different version on different versions of the album. The album I listened to ended with the song Teenage Dream. And I'm happy because this is another freaking masterpiece. Okay, so as far as like the production and the song goes, it's great. You know, piano and more like sweeping developments, and there's some strings here. That's all great. Nigro's doing great. Singing's great, all that. But it's just the message here. It's this message here which I'm going back to Britney Spears' second album. I believe it was her second album. I'm not old enough to be a woman, but I'm not still a girl. Like her sort of song about being a teenager. That went like 1/10 of the way there. This song goes all the way there. This is a speech about what does it mean to be 20? What does it mean to no longer be a teenage dream? To be a 19-year-old superstar? Like, and this is all these questions. When am I going to stop being wise beyond my years and just be wise? You know? Like, that's a fascinating idea. When am I going to stop being a pretty young thing to guys? When am I going to stop being great for my age and just start being good? When will it stop being cool to be quietly misunderstood? She understands that her position in society, her power, her strength, partly comes from something she has no control over, her age, and that gives her a pass in certain ways and allows things to be contextualized in a certain way. She is what we call a 4A star, right? She's pretty smart for a teenage girl pop star, right? She's pretty wise for a 20-year-old millionaire, right? And she's asking, when are the 4A's going to go away? Because those 4A's are everywhere, and they're all part, usually, of some kind of system of dominance, right? I mean, going back to the bad old days, they'd say pretty smart for a woman, for a minority, okay? These are the ways that these expressions were used. The more the 4A's disappear, the more equitable and just our society is, right? So this whole thing is about that. Meanwhile, it's also about America's obsession with youth. And we do have a youth obsession culture. I'm sorry I couldn't always be your teenage dream. Like, she's actually feeling that pain. And that's part of why I keep going back to her, but part of why Taylor Swift is so important is that she's maintained her teenage fan base without being a teenager. She's middle-aged, okay? She's middle-aged, but she still speaks for the youth and to the youth. She was not aged out. There was a time where virtually any actress who was over the age of 33 was just shot into space. I mean, just like put on Jeff Bezos' spaceship and just rocketed into space. Maybe come back when you can play a grandmother, but that's it. Fortunately, we've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 years more actresses who are permitted to age, who are given roles that are beyond that of the ingenue of the young woman. So again, we're developing as a society, but we're not there. And part of the way we get there is by listening to people like Olivia Rodrigo. I will say she says one thing, and because a lot of my audience is youth, I like to really emphasize this as an old guy. Yeah, they all say it gets better, but what if it doesn't? It doesn't get better for everybody. Age does not get better for everybody. But this is Professor Skye's keys to letting things get better. The most important way for things to get better when you're older is do not invest in your youth. Do not run around thinking about all the opportunities you need to have, all of the wild times you should be having. Don't do that. Don't invest in the capital of youth because it's empty currency. You're not going to be able to buy anything with it. Okay? Like, our society tells young people that there's a prescribed way, a certain amount of sex, a certain amount of drugs, and a certain amount of debt. And you need to accrue all those things at a certain time. And then when you're in your middle age, you're no longer to do as many drugs, or you're an addict, sucks to be you, or heavy user, sucks to be you. You're incapable of forming close relationships, and you are in debt. Okay? The credit card companies want you to think you only live once. That's what they want you to think. So if you buy into the credit card companies and the beer companies and the dating apps and all that stuff where everything becomes just a full marketplace and your job as a young person is to consume things which help you to feel young and feel youthful, then middle age is going to be a brick wall. It's going to suck. But if you invest in like keeping your brain limber and healthy, you know, I'm not saying you have to never do drugs or never drink or whatever, but just understand each time you do that, you're just hitting your brain a little bit. You know, don't do things. Don't go to Coachella if you can't afford to go to Coachella because it's probably going to suck anyways. And you're just going to say that you went, you know, like just don't invest in youth. And then middle age is awesome. It's awesome because your brain's more formed. You can form better relationships. You can be more at peace with yourself. You can go to therapy. It's awesome. And then it ends with this gentle sounds of her singing. It sounds like there's like a little baby sound in the back. Maybe that's actually her as a baby talking. I don't know. But I feel like I've been on this whole journey with her. I feel like she has talked to us and talked to me about very important themes that matter to her, that only someone in her position with her experience can communicate to us. I'm talking about being a pop star in your late 20s. I'm talking about being a young woman and the beauty expectations. I'm talking about being homeschooled. Like, this whole album is an amazing sharing of experience that goes way beyond the fact that it's just wall-to-wall bangers and bops made by one of the best pairs since Swift and Antonoff, okay? So that's what I think about this album. Now, I've got to edit these things together, and because I edit it together, I don't know why, but it takes over an hour to upload, and I get so grumpy, and my phone says it doesn't have enough space, and I get all upset, but that's okay. These are my Patreons. They give me money to buy music. I'm going to go at least buy Sour. Maybe I'll just buy Guts. I I think Sour might be better, but it could just be that I'm more used to the songs. You know, I think this is a great second album because it's not as catchy, but it's probably deeper and will probably sustain longer life. I don't know. It's brutal out there. All right, till next time, there's the camera.